Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we have Heroes, aka the best deck, aka the funnest deck, aka my second favorite deck after Earth Machine. Um, Such a cool deck. It's really, really fun. The only reason I don't do like lots of stuff on Heroes is because it's just builds have been the same for the past like 2-3 years. It's like the only new cards that are like worth considering are like Liquid Soldier and Sunriser. Apart from that, the best build has really just been the same. Stuff like Fusion Destiny, Mask Change, get a couple of big dudes on the field, a big attack chonker. Um, Extremely straightforward. But this build specifically, like really kind of the entire game plan hinges on Liquid Soldier drawing into Disruption, like Fusion Destiny and Mask Change. And I actually just was playing Heroes the other day and having quite a decent bit of success with it. So I'll just share this profile with you. Starting off with the Destiny Heroes, double Mally, one Dynatag, one draw hand. Double Mally is pretty self-explanatory. Really nice extender, also dark for mask change. Also a Destiny hero for Cross Crusader. Also just does a lot of things. Very easy to get into the graveyard too with discards of Ferris, dumps of Vion. Just send it a Fusion Destiny. There's not a lot to explain with this card. One Dynatag, this is simply for Dystopia, make it gain 1000 and you have a pop. That's the extent you have to go to just for heroes to get a single Trident. Um, that's basically all that Dynatag does. Sometimes you can occasionally save yourself from like big damage by making yourself take no damage. You can sometimes, like if you hard ride, you can stop OTKs, I guess, but like that's never coming up. One draw hand. I'm playing draw hand over Celestial since the extra body that draw hand provides as a dark monster that can be used for mask change is a lot more important than what Celestial can do as an extremely conditional draw 2. So I just chose for draw hand over Celestial. I'll just show the quick combo tutorial after this is done. It kind of needs draw hand in case you draw mask change off Liquid Soldier. The one Honest Neos protects your guys, helps OTK, does a lot of and it's also searchable, so you only really need the one of. One Liquid Soldier, it's your main way to get into Disruption, and you're only running one since it is both searchable and its best effect to draw to is very conditional on it being used as fusion material. So it's searchable and can only be used with specific interactions, so just one copy. Double Shadow Mist. When set to graveyard, you search one. Sometimes second copy does come up since there aren't a lot of ways to recover the first copy. So double Shadow Mist. One Solid Soldier. It can act as an extender, and it's an additional extender on top of that, but it doesn't really do a lot apart from that. In a way, it's kind of like Infinite Drag Anchor Drill, where it doesn't do like too much apart from being an extra body. It's also like an Earth, so you can go into stuff like Sunriser more easily, but at that point you probably have access to Stratos anyway. Speaking of Stratos, instant 3 of best starter, searches whatever you need. A really good card. Triple Ferris. Ferris is one of your biggest playmakers since it gets you access to your entire Vision Hero package, and the Vision Hero package is just bonkers. You get to dump either Shadow Mist or Malicious, get the search for a poly, and you have two bodies on the field for something like Cross Crusader. So the Vision Hero package extremely important. Double increase, another strong card. It can recover itself, and it's also able to summon a Vision hero from your deck, mainly looking Vion, and Vion is able to dump any hero monster from your deck to the graveyard, so you're usually dumping either Malicious or Shadow Mist, sometimes even cards to Reborn off Liquid Soldier if you're in that dire of a situation, but Vion, extremely important card. I'm running two since it isn't a hard starter, but still extremely important card regardless. That's it for our main hero monsters. We've got our monsters Triple Ash, Triple Phantasme, just hand traps, generic hand traps. Spells, we're running a good lot. We have one, a hero lives. Why is this card still at one? Hero isn't, hero is the best deck. Maybe that's why they still keep it at one, but extremely strong card regardless. Triple E-Call just to get access to Stratos, Solid Soldier if you already have Stratos. I know something like a Shadow Mist to discard off Faris. It's unfortunately we're not running too many elemental heroes, just 4 different names, but Ecall still does have its uses. Triple Fusion Destiny. This is a card. This is one of the cards you want to draw off Liquid Soldier. Extremely important card to fuse into Dystopia while dumping a Dynatag. This gives you a free Trident. Also kind of burns your opponent for some damage, I guess, but that's irrelevant. A cool thing with Fusion Destiny is you can also revive the Dystopia with Cross Crusader, so you can actually get a decent amount of damage just from that. So Fusion Destiny, extremely important card, does lock you into Dark Heroes specifically, so remember that you cannot make stuff like Sunriser or Absolute Zero if you've used Fusion Destiny before that, but you can use it after. There's also a fusion spell that you can dump off of Verte if your opponent like hand traps you, or you have a Phantasma and your opponent just like stops your plays completely. That can also come up. Triple Mask Change, another extremely important card. Your mainline combo does get a draw hand into the graveyard to use off Mask Change. Since Mask Change doesn't have to send it to the graveyard, as long as it just leaves the field, it will resolve. You can also dodge Impermanence or Veiler with Mask Change on Stratos, which is why we play Blast. We can also, it's also a quick play spell, doesn't have to be activated in the main phase, so you can just go into battle phase, deal some damage, go into like a Dark Law or an Anki or something, deal some extra damage, and that's usually just game. Mask Change, extremely strong card. The one copy of Rhoda searches all of your level 4 lower monsters, no reason not to run it. The one copy of Poly, searchable off Vion. One copy of Miracle Fusion, searchable off Sunrise. And those are all for the hero engine. Next for generic stuff, triple Ash, triple Phantasmic, triple Judgment. Judgment is kind of the best disruption since this deck just loses to any spell or trap removal. Raigeki, Lightning Storm evenly matched. It's kind of important to get Judgment to draw it off Liquid Soldier, just acts as an extra card. So the Judgment's pretty nice. Next up, we've got our extra deck. One Dangerous. It's a Fusion Destiny target that can send a Shadow Mist to the graveyard. So Fusion Destiny plus something like Stratos can just be full combo, which is why really nice card. It's not like the effect itself is important. It's what its materials are plus any dark effect monster. So it's not just like Shadow Mist you can send. You can also send something like a Vion if you really need to. Like, let's be real, not Vion, Increase. But you're usually not using it. There is like a cool play you can do: Fusion Destiny, dump Vion, summon the Vion with Liquid Soldier, but that's like a really niche play. You've got Dystopia. This is the best Destiny hero monster you're usually going into this. If you're dumping the Fusion Destiny off like an Anaconda or a you just have Fusion Destiny period. At the end of the combo, if you draw into Fusion Destiny, you can just make Dystopia. It's extremely important as an interruption, a guaranteed interruption at that. So you have to run the one-off. It also burns your opponent for some, and it can be revived off Cross Crusader to burn your opponent for even more. So but just that by its effective burn can deal like 3200 damage by itself, which is pretty strong. Also remember that Fusion Destiny does destroy the summoned monster during the next end phase, so Dystopia will die during your opponent's end phase. We've got the one Absolute Zero. You're usually ending on this, just the ability to float into an absolute blowout is extremely strong, and doesn't even have to be sent to graveyard as long as it leaves the field. So if it's banished or destroyed, it will trigger. So blow out your opponent's entire field, extremely strong. So you also end on this, so if your opponent does somehow retaliate, you are just going to blow up everything they have up. You can also Mask Change on Absolute Zero to make Acid, and Acid destroys all the spell traps your opponent controls. Absolute Zero, since it left the field, will destroy all monsters your opponent controls. So it's an entire board wipe, Absolute Zero plus Mask Change, which is a cool interaction to know. One copy of Blast. We're purely running this as a Mask Change target of Stratos. There are a couple of times where this will come up. Sometimes you want something in the graveyard for a Sunrise, not Sunrise, for a Miracle Fusion into like a Skurda or something. But you know, Mask Change is kind of important with Blast. You can also there's another wind one I believe, but this one's just better simply because it's able to it has an relevant effect to bounce a spell or trap your opponent controls, which can act as disruption occasionally. The one acid, I explained this earlier. You just blow up everything with absolute zero on acid. So if they've invested a lot into their board, you can do something like really stupid, like Dark Rune or Mask Change on App Zero. Extremely stupid. The one copy of Anki. This can really come up if you're trying to deal damage, and it also just helps in terms of the ODK. Like any Dark Monster plus Mask Change, you attack with your Dark Master, activate Mask Change, go into Anki. Anki battle over one of their monsters. You can use Anki's effect to recover Mask Change. If I can actually, um, yep, you recover Mask Change from your deck to your hand. And then you use it again to go into Dark Law, attack for even more. So 28 plus 24, you're literally just getting 5200 extra damage on the field. So Anki extremely good in terms of that. Double Dark Law, best masked hero. It's a macrocosmos, and also the reason why drawing Mask Change is so important. It's a macrocosmos, so you can banish, you can hand loop them, and on top of that, it's pretty difficult to out since they can't simply go into battle and try to attack. Since Sunrise exists, they'll have to kaiju this card specifically, and even then you have like 4 other cards in your hand to work with. So Dark Law is pretty nice. The one copy of Escuridao. This can also be a Vision Hero Adoration. I just chose Escuridao since it being an elemental hero can come up if you're trying to make it off a Miracle Fusion. So Escuridao just is easier to make than the Adoration. Sunrise is another very common card you'll go into. It makes every monster you control gain 200 attack for each different attribute you control. So just being able to just gets you extra damage on the field. Also very easy to make 2 heroes with different attributes, usually being the Liquid Soldier or Stratos, depending on the situation. It searches Miracle Fusion, so you can just instantly go into another Absolute Zero or an Escuridao, and it also gives everything protection. Like when an attack is declared involving any hero monster, you can immediately pop a card on the field, so that can help in terms of breaking boards. This deck is not only just decent going first, it's also really good going second if you draw enough blowouts. And then we've got the Double Cross Crusader, extremely important card, being able to, it basically says, if this card is linked to someone and you have Destiny Hero in your graveyard, search a card. That's all it says. Just that search is extremely important, and it also can just pivot into a Dread Decimator as a link too, so keep that in mind. We've got the one Decimator. It helps in terms of getting damage in, and it also inflicts piercing damage, so if your opponent has some defense position monsters, you can use this to beat over them. One copy of Wonder Driver. Wonder Driver is able to recover your fusion spells such as Mask Change, Poly, Miracle Fusion. I believe it can even recover Fusion Destiny, if I recall correctly, since it's like, well, if this will work. I believe, yeah, it can recover Fusion Destiny, which is really good. And it also floats into summoning a hero from your hand. That can come up sometimes, since Wonder Driver is a part of your end board, but doesn't come up enough to like give it any special attention. But the ability to just recover material and go that extra plus is somewhat important. We've got the one copy of Vertic Anaconda. This is the only non-hero monster in the extra deck. I explained this earlier. It's just to go into Fusion Destiny if your plays do get stopped. I'm pretty sure the monster is still destroyed, I believe, during the next end phase, since it's still the same part of the effect. But Anaconda being able to go into Fusion Destiny through interruption is pretty strong, and you're still able to end on like a pop, extra burn, dangerous setups, whatever you need. So that's kind of for the deck. Side deck's pretty self-explanatory. There's not much to explain here. But I'm going into the interesting part, the mainline combos. Right here is your basic mainline combo you're going for 90% of the time. Stratos plus Ferris, there are tons of different permutations that get you here. I believe it's Ferris plus Shadow Mist works. Shadow Mist plus Stratos. You've got Varus plus Mali, A Hero Lives, E-Call. There's just so many ways to just get into just these two cards in rotation. It's pretty easy to do. Start with normal summon Stratos, grab a copy of Mali. You can also grab Shadow Mist here if you really want to, although Mali's just better since it's an extender. Discard Mali for the Varus, and you get to put an increase in your spell trap zone. Use the increase tributing Varus, summon itself, and then use its effect in order to grab a Vion. Another reason for putting Mali there specifically is that if you're putting like Ashes increase or something, then you still have the Destiny Hero in your graveyard to pivot into Cross Crusader. This deck can very often play to a single Ash or Imperm, although you do die to draw pretty badly. Because you go into Vion, dump Shadow Mist. If you open Ferris plus Shadow Mist, you want to dump Mali here if you haven't done that already. But either way, you want both Mali and Shadow Mist in the graveyard. Shadow Mist will search a copy of Liquid Soldier or a Stratos if you haven't already done that. Now you will link off two monsters into a Cross Crusader. Cross Crusader will summon out the Mali and then immediately tribute it in order to search a copy of Draw Hand. And this is where Draw Hand comes in. Just being able to guarantee a dark body on the field is pretty important. If I can actually find Draw Hand over here. Now you can just use Vion's effect in order to banish the Ferris. I almost forgot to do that earlier. You should definitely do this as soon as you summon Ferris to, somewhat play around Nib, since you'll still be on 4 summons. But I kind of forgot about that. Getting this poly is pretty important. Now you can link into Wonder Driver, poly, fusing Draw Hand and Liquid Dude into Sunriser. I personally like to make Sunriser outside of Wonder Driver's column and actually use Wonder Driver to recover Miracle Fusion specifically, since it's a lot more resource efficient. You can do the other way around and recover Poly instead, but Sunriser will use its effect, and Chain Link 1 will be Soldier Chain Link to Sunrise. This will help you deck in a bit. We'll grab the Miracle Fusion and draw 2, discard 1. Right here we didn't draw into Mask Change, but I specifically made these Phantasmates. These can also be like Mask Changes or Fusion Destinies. You're going to go ahead and use Miracle Fusion, banish out the Liquid Soldier and the Cross Crusader, since, as I said, there's not a lot of ways to recover them. And you'll go into the Absolute 0. Now, unfortunately, we did not get access to Mask Change, so Draw Hand is a tiny bit redundant. Oh yes, sorry. This should be under Wonder Driver zone, so that you can use Wonder Driver in order to reset the Miracle Fusion. You've gone +3 in total, and you can still, if you haven't drawn like Fusion Destiny or something, you can still use Mali's effect. Banish Mali in order to summon out another copy of Mali, and then you can go into the Dread Decimator. This will just give everything some extra damage and extra body on them. If you are really greedy, you can go into an Escuridao. That's just kind of win more. I just recommend keeping this on the field just for extra stuff. I also don't specifically like using Mali over here. I like to keep Wonder Driver on the field for its potential floating effect, just to summon out another hero like the Stratos in my hand. As I said, you do usually just have access to Mask Change. If I like hypothetically had access to it, I would set it, and then during the next standby phase, during your opponent's turn, Draw Hand will trigger, summoning itself from the graveyard. I don't recommend using its effect to draw 1, since you're basically giving your opponent Pot of Greed. You're going to use your Mask Change, banish the Draw Hand, grab a Dark Law, and just like this, you have a Macrocosmos plus a Raigeki that will float. and if your opponent tries to attack over anything, you pop. Macrocosmos by itself does win a lot of games, and a Judgment just to protect this Macrocosmos is another reason why it's so important. Um, you also have 4 other cards in your hand, so that's pretty nice. You have a Miracle Fusion for follow-up to make a Scourgeow, and you have a good lot of graveyard setup. It's just a game, no matter what your opponent does. As you saw, it is pretty important to draw into interruption, specifically off Liquid Soldier. I didn't do that right here, unfortunately, but that is kind of important. If you really want to, you can do some other things with, instead of just grabbing draw hand, you can actually grab a, you can go into Escurdao as your dark monster. So you have an Honest Neos in hand instead to protect stuff, but like with access to Decimator and Sunrise, that doesn't come up too often, unfortunately. Still, that is something to consider. This is the line I go for personally, and it is extremely fun. You can usually play through a single hand drop, and the combos are very non-linear, so you can always branch off into different places, and there isn't really a lot, even though it does take skill, there isn't a lot I can like tell you about it, since it's extremely hand dependent. I can't go through every single hand in the game. And a few quick things to note is that you do want to just go for OTK turn 2. If you've activated Dark Rule no more, you want to play conservatively and just try to get rid of their monsters and keep as much follow-up as possible instead of trying to go for game. That's because it stops your opponent from taking damage. Phantasme can be used as material for Verte in order to go into Fusion Destiny if your opponent's like negates your Stratos by any means and you don't have any extra plays. The deck overall is extremely fun. A few engines I could have used are the Evil Hero engine. I just felt it didn't really do anything turn 1, and it was specifically an OTK engine, so I chose not to run it. And you can also play Plasma, but Plasma is just too high investment in my opinion. And if you're playing Plasma, you might as well dedicate the entire build to him. So I'm not playing that either. Hopefully this video was somewhat helpful and helps you play heroes in any capacity whatsoever. The side deck options are usually just going to be like Judgment or Phantasme or a Solid Soldier. Solid Soldier is a very sideable card. Maybe a copy of Stratos or a copy of E-Call, since you have lots of access to it already. It's pretty easy to go over 40 simply because the deck is really consistent with lots of Stratos accesses, so it's not that difficult to go over 40 necessarily. With stuff like Miracle Fusion 2, not Miracle Fusion, Fusion Destiny, and it's also a bit better to go for over 40 anyways, simply because you do run inherent bricks like Draw Hand and Dynatag, so you don't want to necessarily draw those. The deck overall, really fun stuff, I guess. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.